Hi, everyone. I'm Rob Acker, CEO of Salesforce.org, and it's great to be here to welcome you to Trailblazers Together in 2020. Today, we're here to celebrate you, our community, 49,000 nonprofits and schools, each working to build a better future with our partner ecosystem. And this was not something that any of us had planned for this year. It's been extraordinary. It's been a year of multiple challenges with economic, health, racial justice, and climate change, and leadership. 58% of our schools and nonprofits had to change or add on services to respond to these challenges while facing potential budget cuts or restricted staff. But while all this was happening, we were working together. We were listening to one another, taking guidance, and because of that, we innovated together. It's been a remarkable year of progress. 4 community sprints as an example across 9 different projects. It's also led to incredible innovation. We've had 11 releases this year, whether it's our NPSP Common Data Model, Admissions Connect, grants management, to outbound funds. Your insights are baked into every solution. And we work together in this multi-sector partnership in order to rise to the challenge this year. And you did this while remaining at the forefront of solving the world's toughest problems in this pandemic environment. And it goes without saying, your resilience has been remarkable, as well as your agility. So I really want to thank you for being a trailblazer in every way. We recognize it, we see it, and both the world and Salesforce.org, we thank you for it. As I mentioned, you've shown amazing resilience and you've been willing to overcome the obstacles, but you can't do it through resilience alone. The current environment is accelerating a push by constituents to streamline communications, to automate processes, and enable rapid decision-making in order to unlock a better constituent experience with measurable outcomes. And this community recognizes that being digital first is not a choice. It is an imperative in order to thrive in this environment. And I've been thinking about this a lot, and here's what I've seen. In the spring, we saw universities shut down, move off campus literally overnight. In the education space, it was sudden and it was dramatic. Parents and students were hammering university staff for communication. They were questioning whether or not they should pay tuition and return in the fall. But through working with great partners like Father Fitzgerald, the president of the University of San Francisco, or Dr. Eli Capvoluto, president of Kentucky, we saw that they were, 1, ready for this. 2, communications with students and parents increased rapidly. And 3, they were able to give reassurances that coming back in the fall, they have the infrastructure to support student success, but also to support student safety. And they were ready in the moment, highly agile in order to respond to their constituents, which in this case is a combination of faculty, staff, students, and even donors. And what has become clear is that what underpins this imperative is the need to leverage a digital strategy that allows an organization to engage, to measure, to even pivot in order to drive outcomes at speed. And you created this playbook in this community for how to do this. The Digital Transformation Playbook, which put simply has 3 parts. First is digital engagement, being able to engage in highly human, personalized ways at scale across an infinite number of constituents, donors, alumni, students, and advocates from any device, anywhere, anytime. As an example, we found that 77% of students say that receiving personalized messages helps them feel that their school cares about their success. Iowa State, who you're going to hear from, is a great example of digital engagement. They communicated frequently with students and parents to keep them updated on COVID as students came back to campus. And they use tools like online chat to help students stay connected. Hear this. This level of support helps set a record for 1-year retention. More than 88% of first-year students return to school for a second year. The second part of this playbook is really what I call a single source of truth. Another way of looking at it is a unified view of your data across your entire constituency. For nonprofits, this can include donors, constituents, advocates, even volunteers. But for education, it's about managing the student life cycle from recruitment to the student experience to alumni engagement for students, for families, for faculty, and for staff. This holistic view of all your constituents will help you understand what services are needed, what channels are most effective, and also what information really needs to be shared. I think about Muscular Dystrophy Association. They used a holistic, I should say, view of their donors to reimagine their telethon. They recently canceled their in-person gala, and instead they went back to their legacy telethons, but with a twist. They hosted a multimedia, multi-channel event with many celebrities, and they raised over 10 million. Later, you're going to hear from NAACP, who used a centralized system to coordinate 200,000 volunteers to help get out the vote. And third, in this playbook, it's about actionable insights, which can only be achieved with plays 1 and 2, a comprehensive engagement strategy and a single source of truth. This one holistic view of all your data to measure outcomes at scale. It allows us to make choices on how to spend with limited resources. 62% of our customers saw a decline in funds coming in, and they needed insights to understand the return on investment and to make better investment choices in a resource-constrained reality. Using insights to reimagine business models will help address challenges with fundraising, tuition, acquisition, and retention. Take USC Annenberg. As more students and parents are evaluating college degrees, USC built dashboards that enable them to surface data-driven insights that explore that answer. This simplified digital transformation playbook is essential to getting through these times. Digital engagement, single source of truth, and actionable insights. This simple formula will build resilience for the future, no matter what the future holds. And really, my point is that this pandemic, it did not break this community. It did the opposite. It made everyone here more resilient, more transparent, and more agile so that we can face 2021. I'm so inspired by what I've seen so far. And today you're going to hear from NAACP and Iowa State University. And together we will work through these challenges and get our kids back to school, have vaccines distributed, provide health and human services to our community, and ensure that programs and services reach those who are most in need. And this solution is all sitting right here in this virtual room with us working together as one. I really want to thank you, and so does the entire Salesforce.org organization. And let's make it happen.
What a year, 2020, man.
I am tired of cooking. Air fryer, Instapot, sous vide, you name it, I've got it. My skills as a chef are not improving.
If you've known me for 5 minutes, you know I'm disturbingly social. No travel and no in-person interaction for me is a great loss. But the silver lining, I've been invited to speak and meet with community groups all over the world that I might not otherwise have ever met.
I never really liked the working from home concept, and I found myself actually realizing that working from home is something that I truly love.
I think it's also made us realize how much more human we are to each other. It's okay if you're about a couple minutes late or have to bring your kid onto the virtual meeting.
I have no problem when people ask me to move the focus of my camera from me to my dog.
When the going gets tough, the go-givers stick with it. They don't give up. They don't stop.
I'm so grateful that the biggest change the pandemic has forced on our organization is to be innovative in the way we help our customers engage their volunteers.
With the Together plan, we're all about making connections. It's allowed us to try new things and to experiment, and it's resulted in happier volunteers, donating more time and better outcomes.
One of my main takeaways is just how important your community is, and especially the TrailBlazer community. It's important to feel connected so that you remember why you're doing the work that you do.
Even during the middle of a pandemic, people are going out of their way to really help others. And it's all because of the Salesforce Ohana and their willingness to give back.
Nonprofits inspire transformation. They move people to take action that leads to collective impact in the world. Nonprofits all must seize on the urgency of the present crisis to catalyze change and prepare and accelerate for what's next. The modern nonprofit must be transformative, both in how it inspires to action, but also how it operates. Choosing to be transformative means making a technology decision, but it's as much of a people and process change as it is a technology change. We believe as Salesforce, we have a unique role to play. 20 years ago, Salesforce was born with people at the center. Salesforce was created to help move people through the moments of a relationship. It started with the sales buying cycle, but has become so much more. We believe we're fundamentally different as a company than other companies that start with a database or an ERP or Office apps at their core. Our focus has been and always will be people. Our core competency as a platform is we know how to move people from point A to point B and beyond. This is especially relevant in the social sector. It is my privilege to introduce a member of the Salesforce community, NAACP, that's on their own journey of transformation. Please welcome Salesforce's Chris Thomas in conversation with NAACP's President and CEO, Derek Johnson, and members of his leadership team. Over to you, Chris.
This year was a perfect storm that accelerated by necessity the NAACP's organization-wide transformation program that was already in progress. Today, I'm honored to discuss with the NAACP's leadership team their road to change. I'd like to welcome NAACP's President and CEO, Derek Johnson, Vice President of Marketing and Communications, Trevon Williams, National Director for the Youth and College Division, Tiffany Lofton, and National Civic Engagement Director, Dominic Whitehead. Thank you, everybody, for being here. President Johnson, I'm curious, we've heard a lot since the beginning of the pandemic about this word pivoting, and as ultimately you have to run this giant organization, how does the fact that we're in an era of unpredictability and constant pivoting impact how you run your organization?
Our ability to be agile in the moment is crucial. I took the helm of the organization 3 years ago. My goal was to upgrade our systems, invest in a more agile, younger staff. That's the staff you see on the screen here. And to understand that the platforms of social media opens up the opportunity for NAACP to communicate much quicker as things shift fast. We are on a 24-hour news cycle. What's news today may not be news tomorrow, and it moves very quickly. What was considered a norm in the past is no longer a norm because there's a new norm almost every 2 days. So for the association to be really immersed and engaged in the conversation across the country, we had to upgrade our systems, make sure we plug into the eyes and ears of our volunteers across the country in the 47 states, while at the exact same time, stay focused on the overall vision and strategy to empower our community so their voices can be heard in this democracy. Because at the end of the day, it is about seeing ourselves as owners of government, not victims of government, and with our ownership capital, making sure our voices are there, our interests are met, and our advocacy is very clear and crisp at a moment's notice.
And Trevon, what people who've grown up with technology, what do they expect from a powerful organization like NAA?
This is not one of those, if you build it, they will come models, but we have to make sure that our technology and our message is being shared within the mechanisms that are going to reach them. And so we made significant enhancements to our technology and how we were pushing our messages out across different platforms, whether that's social, email, digital communications. We wanted to make sure that those things were the focal point of ensuring that our message was being shared in digestible areas for all of our audiences. And I think we were very, very successful in doing so.
In terms of impact, Tiffany, I'm wondering, when we think about internal impact, do you have examples of how in your Salesforce implementation in this new technology that you've introduced over the past couple of years, how has it demonstrated value and impact internally? We've talked about change already, but I'm wondering, how do you build the momentum to keep the investment in these kinds of tools coming? I know that can be a real challenge. So do you have examples of what you've seen internally around that?
The national organization is the mothership, but the local organizations and the members run the work and run the organization. So unless we are able to show them how to be autonomous and effective and smart and strategic on their own, the NAACP wouldn't be having this panel discussion as the best organization in the world, right? So we use Salesforce, we use our social media tools, we use those communications not only to do the work as easier and more effectively, but to train thousands of young people and leaders across the country so that they're able to do it on their own as well. And we've heard a lot of incredible feedback from our members about how easy 2020 was because we've been able to be agile, because we've been able to pivot. And we want to continue to give them more tools to help make this work easier.
Dominic, I'm wondering about your perspective in terms of civic engagement, how this technology is creating change out in the world.
In terms of the future and what we started these last few years, we're allowing data to drive us. We are a data-driven organization. I think that's the biggest thing. And when you begin to allow data to help drive and help dictate the strategy, help dictate the direction you want the organization to go into, your reach become bigger, your impact becomes larger. So I'm excited in the direction that we're going. I'm excited in how we're continuing to engage new people. Many of those relational organizers or those volunteers that we recruited, many of those folks were not NAACP members. They're in our universe. They're in our orbit now.
President Johnson, we talk about CRM, obviously at Salesforce, constituent relationship management. It's a technical term, but ultimately it really means people. It's just where people are and how you use technology to develop relationships with them. And I'm wondering, from your perspective, how do you see technology as enhancing relationships with your donors, your volunteers, your activists, students, et cetera? Now that you have this technology and you can personalize that experience based on their interactions, do you see a fundamental change in how you engage your constituencies?
Social justice is a much about skill as it is about passion, as it is about being an artist, as it is about relating to people. And so a CRM allows for individuals who love people, extreme extroverts like me or maybe even Tiffany, to really allow our art to come through our work, or the ability of someone like Dominic, who's a phenomenal diplomat who can bring people together and allow everyone in the room see themselves in the outcome of success, or a communicator like Siobhan, who can cut through many words and get directly to the heart of the matter and deliver a message timely, but have that message segmented to the audience that we're communicating with. It's through this type of CRM technology allow us to be very, very agile and effective. And as we continue to build out our Salesforce tool to create a more seamless approach to our work, I can only imagine what we're going to look like next year or 5 years from now.
I want to thank everybody for being here. It's an amazing conversation. It's an incredible pleasure to speak to you all, really, and really insightful. And thank you, and best of luck in 2021.
This year's forced nonprofits to gain more visibility into their funding, digitize how they convene supporters and work remotely, and reimagine how they serve and show impact. Many organizations are moving past siloed systems and disconnected data to be more agile and overcome challenges this year. To do that, nonprofits need a platform today that can digitize every aspect of their mission, from a great experience, engaging supporters and serving their clients, to unlocking the data on how they fund and run their mission from income all the way through to impact. Today, we're going to talk about STEPS, a fictitious nonprofit whose mission is to end homelessness and poverty. Imagine, STEPS is on a new weekly virtual meeting to talk strategy across their fundraising, programs, and marketing teams. As a STEPS fundraising director, using this Tableau dashboard starters for nonprofits, I share we have a big opportunity to grow recurring donors who provide a steady revenue stream in these very uncertain times. We get out of that meeting and I get to work on the Sustainers campaign. Using Insights platform with Customer 360 audiences, I can create a segment to target individuals that are more likely to give via email or text. I can specify supporters who haven't given in the last 45 days. And using the Insights platform Einstein Predictions, built on artificial intelligence, I can leverage the likelihood to become a recurring donor field to find those most likely to sustain our mission. These segments allow my team to create a multi-channel journey for the right target audience. Next, I'm going to set up a giving page with Elevate for digital fundraising, which now allows our donors to designate their funds to programs based on their passion. And I can add a custom question to ask what programs they're interested in. Let's meet our donor Julian, who's given once in the past. After hearing more about the Workforce Development Program, Julian gets a personalized text, which immediately opens up an app clip on his phone. New in iOS, app clips are smart actions that make it easy to give, and here he can use Apple Pay. Julian enters a $30 monthly donation, and new with Elevate, can designate it to the right program, share how he'd like to get involved with a custom question, and decides to cover donation fees. With a tap, he's become a sustainer, and all of his donor information is captured in Salesforce, providing a true end-to-end fundraising solution. The campaign was a success, and we now have increased our total sustainers who have donated to fully fund the Workforce Development Program, which we'll hear more about from Nora, the case manager for STEPS.
STEPS is seeing a significant increase in demand for its services since COVID began. A lot of people are finding themselves unemployed, and because so many people are out of work, they are eager to take part in the Workforce Development Program to help prepare for and find their next job. I'm responsible for making sure no client participating in the program falls through the cracks. As their case manager, I rely heavily on a tool called Nonprofit Cloud Case Management to manage upwards of 30, 40, or 50 clients. While I'm out in the community, I meet a new prospective client named Elijah who shared that he recently lost his job. In the past, I would have had to go back to my office, complete the intake, and enroll him in the program from there. But as of 2021, I can now use case management on any device, in this case, my iPad. As I'm sitting there talking with him, I choose the intake template for the Workforce Development Program, which helps me to follow the steps specific to that program, jump to different sections based on the flow of the conversation, and come back to it later if I've missed any information from Elijah. Now, with Elijah fully enrolled, he can start working towards finding a full-time job. I meet with Elijah a couple of days later to talk about his long-term goals, and we create his personalized case plan with the action items that he'll take. For example, like identifying his industry or career path. These are just a few of the first steps that Elijah will take in his case plan that will continue to be a living and breathing document that helps Elijah to stay on track. Throughout Elijah's time in the program, I can also check in to ensure that he's progressing positively by looking at his assessments. I can easily visualize if and how the workforce development services are helping and where we may need to adjust his case plan. Elijah is on track, and the program is a big success for not only him, but for all the STEPS clients. I'm really excited to share these outcomes with my development colleagues like Connie. Let's check in to see how the fundraising campaign is going.
After sharing the impact of our program, STEPS gets a large check from a donor, and Tara, our gift entry manager, is, like all of us, working from home. And she's used to manually entering the checks working in the office. But now, she can easily use her phone to scan the check, like she does with her personal banking app, saving her time and reducing manual errors. Using the mobile app and gift entry powered by Einstein Vision, the key gift information is automatically recognized and entered, and Tara just needs to glance through and give it a review. Their donation information is allocated to the Workforce Development Program and accounted for with our finance teams. With Nonprofit Cloud and all our new innovation, STEPS was able to work digitally with less effort and make a greater impact. And that's not all. We have a lot more in store for you, so let's check in with Andrea to see what's new in 2021.
Thank you, Connie and Nora. It's incredible to see everything that organizations like STEPS can do with Nonprofit Cloud. What you saw in today's demo will help organizations of all sizes build resilience and adapt quickly to the changing needs of their communities. Here's a summary of all the new innovations we've heard about coming in 2021. First, innovations in our fundraising and marketing solutions with Tableau dashboards, advanced segmentation and predictions, gift entry powered by AI, and online giving ensure that you can continue to create those donor-centric experiences. And second, innovations in case management mobile, intake and assessments, as well as program impact visualizations allow for more critical support to be delivered. But making technology available for all isn't limited to just products. It requires the support of a community, the sharing of ideas and best practices, and drawing inspiration from each other's work. The nonprofit community has risen to the challenges of this year. We saw this through the now virtual open source community sprints, where members of the ecosystem come together to build new solutions to shared problems. In the most recent virtual sprint, over 130 community members from 6 countries met to work on a variety of initiatives. One of the most impactful being a project focused on increasing diversity, equality, and inclusion at community sprints. This is key to ensuring the technology we build is accessible and that all community members of all backgrounds have a seat at the table. A huge, huge thank you to the team that is part of this important initiative. And we want to continue keeping the community connected, which is why we're thrilled to announce our first ever Nonprofit Summit, an online event coming this April that includes talks from luminaries, tracks on a variety of topic areas, and the networking experiences that you're used to getting in person. We really hope to see you there. And as you know, this year has been one of tremendous change. Our society is fundamentally different than it was this time last year, and it's inspiring to see how our community has changed, adapted, and done more good together. I can't wait to see where we go. Together, we have an opportunity to evolve and come out even stronger.